Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on our diploma in high performance sales and business development. We're just going to give people another couple of seconds to just log in there, and then we begin the webinar straight after that. Okay, I think we get going, considering the good weather that we have outside. We get going as quickly as we can. Thank you very much for joining our webinar today. My name is James Bannigan. I'm part of the business development team here in Smurfit Executive Development. And I'd like to hand you over to my colleague, John O'Gorman, who's Program Director for High Performance Sales and Business Development Program. And he's going to take you on a tour through the program of what you can expect. If you have questions, please, you can put them in the Q&A and we will answer them live as we go through the session, and we will follow up afterwards as well. Thank you. Over to you, John.
Thanks, James. I'm delighted to be with you all this afternoon. And as James said, please jump in and give us any of your questions through the chat, and we can answer them as we go along. I want to make this session practical as well as informative around the program. So I wanted to talk to you about the idea of reframing and seeing things in a slightly different way. Many of the limits of growth and the execution of growth strategies in business are found in the mind. And we like to ask people to reframe how they see and think about growth on this program. And we do that through a question. And one of the questions that we talk about is, what is the growth potential within your organization, within your team? So we merge the concept of performance and potential to talk about performance potential. So this is where I'd like to start the webinar today and ask you to pause and reflect on a two-part question. And the first part of the question is, what percentage of your organization's full potential is presently being realized? That's part A. Part B is, what percentage of your commercial team or your sales team's full potential is presently being realized? And a third part, what percentage of your own full potential is being realized? So by now you should have 3 percentages written down on your pad in front of you. What percentage of your own organization's potential is being realized? What percentage of your sales team's potential is being realized? And what percentage of your own potential is being realized? In many of the organizations that we work with out in Michael Smurfit, UCD Michael Smurfit, many of those organizations are reaching their key performance targets. But when we ask executives about this concept of potential, they point out to us that there could be up to 30-40% more potential to be realized within their organizations, within their teams, and even for themselves as leaders. So with that potential that we're trying to unlock and trying to see if we can drive some what we call performance gains of anywhere from 3, 5, 7, 12, 15% in terms of unlocking the next level of growth potential. So if you come on this course, we will be asking you to consider these 3 questions. We will be asking you to define out what success is for yourself in terms of unlocking the next level of potential at these 3 levels: organization, teams, and individuals. Just to make this a bit more interactive, I'm going to ask you to, so for those of you who are on the call, if you scan the QR code that's in front of you on the right-hand side of the screen on minty.com, the QR code there, and just enter in the answer to those 3 questions. Just get a feel for people for today, from the people who are on the call. What percentage of your organization's full potential is presently being leveraged, your teams, and your own yourselves? The data that you put in here will be scrubbed directly after the call, and it's all anonymized data. So rest assured, there's no data being stored. So just wait a moment to see if we can get a couple of respondents in there. I see we've 4 people in. I think we've 9 on the call. So let's see if we can get up to 6, 7 people in, and let's just see what comes up for people. It's great to see the first respondent in, because always on a webinar, you're always worried that the technology may not go with you. Okay, so we've 2 people's responses in. Let's see if we can get that up to the 5 or 6 out of 6 there for those people who have come on the call. So as we're waiting a moment, I would encourage you to even to be curious and go back into your own colleagues and ask them these 3 questions. It's a form of data. And when we on the program, we ask people to set up the idea of having strategic conversations with your colleagues. And if you start a conversation with your colleagues around these 3 questions, it's interesting to see people's different perspectives. So as I said, on the program, we'll be helping people to consider these questions and help to unlock that next level of potential within the organization's teams and for you yourself as an individual contributor. There's a quote on the screen in front of you from Frank Suspides. Frank has written a book called Aligning Strategy and Sales. Frank is what we call a pracademic. He's an academic, but he's also been a practitioner out in the world. He's been very successful in business. In that book, Aligning Strategy and Sales, which we ask people to dip into on the first module on the program, he talks about the critical connection between strategy and sales, and that there to ensure that there isn't a gap between strategy and sales execution. And on module one of this program, we focus heavily on ensuring that we limit any gap between strategy and sales execution. And Frank, challenges people's thinking to ask themselves, is there a gap, and what that gap might be? So you'll see in front of you Frank's model, which is called the seller's compass. And the idea of this compass or framework is to link strategy and sales. I mentioned the idea of reframing earlier on. So there's two core models that we ask people to think about in terms of the execution of strategy and sales over the course of the program. One is Frank's model, and the second model is the model that we have developed here ourselves. And we reframe performance using the metaphor of Formula One, but all of the complexity of driving sales and strategy execution, from how teams are designed to how teams behave to the strategy itself. So if you take a moment and you kind of just hone in on that model, you'll see the complexity that's required to drive sustainable growth. It's not only having focus and alignment. It's not the product. It's not just how it appeals to the customer or the level of activity and effectiveness. It's all these various different components or disciplines, the disciplines of how you design the team, the disciplines how your team interacts, and how sales, marketing, commercial teams interact together to drive out growth within your organizations. I want to ask you to be curious. I'm going to play a little video here. We talk about focus and alignment. I'm going to show you a Formula One team changing what we call the nose cone. Why did I play that video? Formula One teams, they have pit teams that operate under high pressure, high uncertainty. When the Formula One car is out on the track, the nose cone or the front of the car can get damaged. Like any strategy, can get damaged when it's out in the marketplace. We talk about the concept of not alignment, but dynamic alignment on this program, and dynamic alignment having three key component parts. The first part is purpose. Why does it matter? The second part, how will results be measured? And the third part, what must we focus on now? We call that the triple Glock on alignment. Many teams tell me they're aligned, but when we start to measure these three elements, this is where the rubber hits the road, so to speak. So again, we have another Minty, and I'm going to ask you to reflect for a moment and ask yourself, has your team got a laser-like focus on its key priorities, that be the sales team, the sales and marketing team? Is there total clarity regarding the results to be achieved amongst you and your colleagues? Is there absolute confidence regarding the results to be achieved? And are you fired up by a clear and compelling purpose, vision of success? So there's four key component parts there. And I encourage everybody just to pause for a moment, reflect, and ask yourself, these questions, and throw your answer into the Minty, and let's just see what comes up for the participants on the webinar here today. Give it another second or two, see if we can get a few responses into the poll. While you're waiting there, if you'd like to take a photograph of that, you're very welcome to. But I would encourage you all to consider, have your teams got a laser-like focus on their key priorities? Have they absolute clarity regarding the results to be achieved? Is there absolute confidence regarding those results? And are you fired up by a clear and compelling purpose or vision of success? It's all of those factors and the clarity of those factors that are key to the execution of your sales strategy, and ensuring that there isn't a gap between strategy that may be developed at upper echelons of the organization or amongst the senior leadership team and sales. And getting that aligned is absolutely crucial. An interesting little exercise. If you went back to the office or if you're after your lunch today, ask three senior managers within the organization what their top three priorities are for the commercial side of the house or for sales, marketing, and customer success. Might that exercise reveal? Will people have an absolute focus, or will there be shifting priorities and a wobbly focus? For reflection, we'd ask you to be curious about that. And what percentage of your time is being spent on these key priorities? Oftentimes, teams will tell us certain things are important. We would say that they'd say these are the absolute non-negotiables. They aren't getting time to spend on those things. Why is that the case? What are the distracting factors, or what's the noise or interference that's causing the team not to be able to focus on those key priorities? So I'm going to pause a second and say, first question earlier on was what percentage of your organization, teams, individuals, potential is being realized? And being curious about that and saying, how much of that could we unlock? And we talked about the strategy execution gap between strategy and sales and making sure that that gap was minimized. And we introduced the concept of various different models on the program. We also then go from there and we talk on the program about the importance of cross-functional teamwork between sales, marketing, customer success, delivery, operations. What is required to bring all those teams together to actually deliver on the growth goals of the organization? It's everybody's job to deliver those growth goals, or is it everybody's job? There are two tales there's a tale of two teams that we like to explore, and two theories and schools of research that we like to explore in this program. One, what we call performance design, designing the interactions between the teams, the way the teams work, and then designing the way the team interact or the dynamics of a team. I'm going to introduce you to the concept of designing a team for a few moments. And again, if you come on this program, this is something that you will spend a considerable amount of time thinking about and talking about in terms of how you design the interactions of these cross-functional teams to drive growth. On the screen in front of you, you'll see a visual of a Formula One car, and you'll see the pit team going to change tires. But what I want you to pay most attention to is the rights. There's 9 rights there on the visual in front of you. We've got the right people in the right roles doing the right work. So have you got the right people in the right roles doing the right work? Working together in the right way? Are they leveraging the right resources? Are they getting the right rewards? And are they focused on the right results? Back to results again. And are they doing the work the right time and in the right place? Are they able to come together and align around those 9 rights? So again, are we focused on the right results? Have we got confidence and clarity? Have we got the right people on the team in the right roles, doing the right work, working together in the right way? Are sales, marketing, and customer success working together in the right way? Have they the right resources, and are they focused on the right rewards? So where may there be strength? Where may there be weakness? What we refer to as performance gains or performance losses within the cross-functional teams that you may be part of today. Those cross-functional teams that are responsible for driving growth within your organization. So again, we'll introduce just the last Minty of the afternoon. Can I ask you to just rate the rights, do a rights check for the cross-functional teams that maybe you're part of or that are required to work in terms of bridging the strategy execution gap in your organization? Do you feel you've got all the right people in the right roles, doing the right work, et cetera, et cetera? Just take a moment, pause. Again, you're welcome to take a screenshot of that or take a photograph of that and ask your colleagues, do you feel in terms of productivity and efficiency and driving that cross-functional collaboration, we have the 9 rights in place? WFO is working from home or working from the office in terms of right place. Again, just take a moment, throw your answers into the Minty, and let's see what shows up. Anyone who's joined the call a bit later, you can access the poll by minty.com and just entering in the code. So for those who have entered in your response there, I guess the question would be, if this was your own team, if the 5 or 6 respondents here was this made up your own team, what would you do, or where would you focus? What would need to be worked on? Maybe there's multiple aspects that need to be worked on. But what would you go after first? Where would be the performance gain? Where might the performance loss be in terms of driving out some opportunity to drive further growth within your organizations and with your customers? Okay, so if you've got the rights, we introduce the concept of dynamics. We do talk about culture, the culture of performance within your organization, but we like to ask teams, particularly sales, marketing, customer success teams who work together, what are the dynamics within the team? What are the behavioral related, where are the behavioral related performance losses or performance gains? And you'll see these various different people working individually. You've got somebody who's about to get a lug nut over the head there in terms of sense of urgency. Got tension and cohesion. Is the team able to balance tension and cohesion? When tension goes up, are they able to remain cohesive? Have we got the right level of excitement and adrenaline in terms of when we're working together? Have we got the right level of communication, discipline, persistence, trust and respect? Are we focused on that level of continuous improvement, and are we focused on winning? And have we a shared definition of winning? Those team dynamics you'll see in the contrast between that visual and the visual earlier on where people were about to change the tires on the car. These people are co-acting a space, but they're actually not going to get anything done. It's a lot of complexity, a lot of behavior related performance losses in this visual. So again, I'd ask you to reflect and pause and say, okay, where might the strengths be in your team? Have you got a good sense of urgency? Are your team able to balance tension, cohesion, et cetera, et cetera? So what might the dynamics look like within your team? Garage Hardy and one of the facilitators will talk to you about the dynamics and what it takes to get the dynamics right to drive out sustainable growth within your business. As I come to about the 20-minute mark or so on the webinar, I just wanted to give you a feel for the modules on the program and what it takes to go from start to finish on the program. So module 1 is led by myself, which is strategy for breakthrough sales performance, which is a 2-day module. Then we go on to leadership and coaching. So what it takes to lead and coach in the commercial functions within an organization. And we go from there onto module 3, value-based selling and customer success. Andrew Keating runs that module. Onto module 4, executing high-performance business development, client acquisition and growth, where Garage Hardy takes the module, and I do a part of the module with Garage around driving out what it takes to acquire, retain and grow customers and the complexity of what it takes to sell to a sophisticated buyer in today's world. Stephen Boyle, one of the best facilitators in the world in negotiations. We're very, very lucky to have Stephen on our faculty. Takes module 5, 2-day module. And then we close out focusing in on talent management, collaboration and winning, and what it takes to drive that level of cross-functional collaboration, and what talent is required to drive out the execution of your growth strategy. On module 6, we also bring in some speakers from the outside in terms of having an outside perspective from the army, from elite sport, and from a technology perspective. So it's a fascinating module. So they're the 6 modules. Each module is a 2-day weekend or midweek slots over a period of 8 to 9 months. So it's 2 days by 6 modules, it's 12, and then there's assignments, etc., in between all of those. Each assignment is very practical orientated and drives out something that you should be able to apply straight into your business. This is a highly practical program. Tools, models, frameworks are the orders of the day to be able to bring those tools, frameworks, and models back to your business. I mentioned the idea of strategic conversations, or a term that I refer to as CNBH, conversations that are not being had. Strategy is complex, systemic, and requires an open-mindedness. It requires strategic conversations. We tee up strategic conversations over the 6 modules, and we empower you to be able to bring those frameworks and tools to have strategic conversations back in your organizations. If there are conversations that are not being had across cross-functional teams, the tools, frameworks, and models will help shine a light on those in a very empowering way. So the takeaways at 20, 22 minutes or so into this, I want to leave a few minutes for questions and answers. Can you see or unlock potential within your environment? What are the opportunities for improvement in terms of driving and unlocking potential? Can you relentlessly tackle performance losses or performance gains with respect to how you set your teams up in terms of how they interact with your customers? Welcome some tension with respect to performance dynamics, and how will you leverage tension for a positive and effective way to drive out growth within your business? And the fourth and final one, back to the nose cone and the reminder of the Formula One team changing the nose cone of the car, dynamic alignment. Keep asking what's important now. Keep focusing on those purpose, results, and priorities. James, I'm going to open it back up to you to any questions that there may be, or for you to give a synopsis on some of the work that we do out in Smurfit in terms of any of our rankings, etc.
Thanks so much, John. And thank you very much, everybody, for attending. There are some questions in the background there. And I suppose one of the questions, which is quite pertinent, kind of leads into what your last slide there, John, just iterated to. Like, if somebody comes with a live business challenge, is that like something that can be worked through over the course of the program in terms of the assignments and stuff like that to help them kind of guide towards a plan around that?
Yeah, so you are your own case study on this program. You bring problems, you bring challenges. From the word get-go, we ask you to bring your own organization to the party in terms of the first module, the first 2 days. Very applied, very practical. It's not this. It's not. So this distant type learning from it's tailored to you. It's focused on your problems, your challenges. Yes, and that's right through the course of the 6 modules. We expect that.
And I suppose it'd be fair to say that as well, John, that like as you say, it's not sage from the stage. It's very much open conversation, facilitated learning. So I presume within the classroom, there's probably as much to learn from your peers in the program as there is from faculty.
Yeah, so if we've 18 to 20 people in a class, James, we're talking about having 600 years experience probably in the room. People sometimes forget that. The facilitator will have maybe 25 or 30 years experience. But each of the facilitators or lecturers are, again, a bit like what I would describe Frank Suspilius as academics. We're actually practitioners as well as academics. And that's a key part of it. But it's definitely not sage from the stage, no.
Yeah, fantastic. And in terms of, I suppose, in terms of like the workload, because like people have all busy work lives and stuff like that, in terms of workload that people can expect, could you give them a sense of that?
Yeah, so I think at the start, people find that maybe kind of go, "Oh God, there's quite a bit of work to be done." But you know what? What I like to break it down to is it's probably an hour a day, 5 to 6 days a week, over the course of each module. Yeah, so there's blocks. So I like to describe a module as you've got the module weekend, which is kind of 16 to 18 hours, and there's a run up to that of 3 or 4 weeks. So it's kind of an hour a day every day for 3 or 4 weeks, and then there's a chunk of work that needs to be done in your assignment. But the beauty of the assignment is, again, as you said earlier on, is it's back to they're applied. So you should be able to combine it with your work. So it should be a work challenge. So it kind of links in together. So you don't see them as two separate things. They're linked. They're linked together. And that's when it's most beneficial.
Yes, yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I think I like the idea of 600 years of experience that can go up and down depending on the age profile. But in terms of the age profile, I suppose we're in there with people who are like they have at least 5 years management experience, upwards of 10 years management experience. So you're going to be sitting there with seasoned professionals like yourself who will be able to share, I suppose, their own war stories in the room. And like Chatham House rules applies in terms of the classroom environment as well. It's a very confidential space. I did notice with the groups and just in passing, they seem to bond very strongly together. So obviously they're deep vulnerability sharing there in the room.
Yeah. Yeah, so we work with the class in the first couple of hours really to make a connection and to set out what we would describe as a kind of our task and social norms and how we're going to work together, and we build on those over a period of time. One of the things that we've learned over the years is you need to understand the people's experiences in the room, and we get to that very, very quickly because the people's experiences in the room, right from when they were teenage years right up to whatever age they are now, actually is brought to the party. Want to make the important important point is the cohorts that we generally have range from people in banking and finance to technology to pharmaceutical to this year we're lucky to have a local entrepreneurial auctioneer firm in the class. So you're getting a kind of a diverse mix, and the learning from that is huge learning. And I said this earlier on to somebody else. We ask people to think and pause about what they accept and why. So they come to the program, they have some, they want to accept certain things and then they want to reject others, but we ask them why. So one of the words throughout this program is curiosity for how you can unlock more performance and potential, curiosity about how you see it from the different lenses of the organization, the business, the team, curiosity about your customers. What are your customers facing? And those three questions that I asked earlier on about organization, team, and potential, you can flip those over to if you were thinking about one of your customers, I wonder what percentage of their potential they're realizing. I wonder what are the team within their organization. So you got to be looking at it both ways through both lenses.
Yeah, superb. That's great. Thank you, John, for those insights. And just to say as well, we have some other questions there in the background that we'll go back to people directly on as well. If you would like to find out more about the program, you can contact myself, James Bannigan, at Smurfit Executive Development. I put my contact details in the chat, but I'll also follow up with details there as well. And we follow up with a recording from this conversation today as well. One other thing I would like to mention is that in terms of, as John said, with the workload on the program, we do provide like access to our library and access to all our services within UCD. So there are a lot of services there in terms of supports to support people academic writing and getting through the program and stuff like that as well. And all the materials and resources are available through our online platform Brightspace as well. So we try, and we've actually, I must say as well, we have a dedicated program manager that helps you manage the day-to-day running of the program. Will be an expert there to help guide you in terms of any information you need. So we provide as many resources here as possible. We kind of to help people and support them in having a successful program journey with us. So thank you
I
very
think
much.
James, just to add, I'd say to people, the diversity of what's in the classroom is critically important. And if you pop onto the site there and see some of the testimonials from past participants, you just get a feel for that diverse range. And we really do welcome that diverse range of, from different industries and different backgrounds, because it is a high performance sales and business development course. But, if anybody is sitting and needs to understand more about how commercial teams work, they're welcome on this program also, because they'll get the shared learning.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, John. And thank you, everybody, for taking the time out of your day to turn up. We will follow up and we will be in touch, and we'll let you go to enjoy the rest of your lunch break in a bit of sunshine. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, James. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.